So I'm interested to hear the Yorkshire view. From a Leeds fan, do you think Kalvin Phillips deserves that place in the England team? And in a situation where everyone's fit, where you've got Declan Rice and Henderson as well, do you think he still makes it into it? Do you expect to see him at the Euros?
Yes, I think it would be criminal if he wasn't in the England team based on what he does week in, week out. And of course, if you're not watching Leeds week in, week out, and you haven't watched Leeds week in, week out for the last 2 years or so, then you won't know what Kalvin Phillips does, because he's certainly not doing what he does week in, week out when he's playing for the England team. I'm watching it thinking, what the hell is Kalvin Phillips doing playing on the wing? And that's your main issue. Kalvin Phillips is like the crucial pivot in the Leeds team, in that when he's not playing for Leeds, Leeds are all over the shop. He keeps everything calm. He sets everything up. He runs the show. When Leeds have had a sticky patch, when they've had these streaks of 3 or 4 matches where they haven't been winning or whatever, they're getting turned over big time, it's when Kalvin Phillips hasn't been there more often than not, apart from maybe 1 or 2 games. And I think those 1 or 2 games involved Newcastle, so go figure. All right, so he plays... Leeds play a formation that's like 4-1-4-1 usually, and he sits right in between the defensive line and the midfield line. And the way
he drops back into that defence, doesn't he? When the fullbacks go forward, he drops back from a former back 3.
Exactly, and likewise going forward. So he drops into all, as you mentioned, drops into these various positions. But what he also does is he plays a bit like, I don't know how familiar you are with NFL, but he's a bit like a quarterback in that he gets the ball all the way back, straight from the defence. The midfielders will make a run, like Jack Harrison or whatever, will make a run down the wing, and he'll ping the ball, perfect accuracy, to one of the wingers, whether that's Rafinha or Harrison or whatever, and that's where the moves quite often come from. And he's set up so many moves. But when he's playing for England, he's playing in a midfield of, say, maybe 2 or 3. I mean, Declan Rice has probably been playing more in his position. And I think people are looking at Kalvin Phillips and saying, why is he not attacking? Why is he not doing stuff? Why is he not shooting? He's not that kind of midfielder. He's a defensive midfielder, and he's very good at it, but he needs to play right in the middle, in front of the defence. That's his perfect place. And he's never...
But if that's the case, Ian, then you don't take him to the England team, because if he needs to play in that position, then you're talking about England changing the way they play. And with the utmost respect to Kalvin Phillips, he isn't the type of player that you change a system around if you're England, because there's more important players.
He's probably...
So you pick players to play the system rather than picking the system to fit the players, don't you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I suppose at the same time, there's an element of... He probably can play in other positions. I think with the likes of Declan Rice being in the team and Jordan Henderson when he's fit as well, he's probably been muscled out of his best place. I think that it was Roy Keane compared him and said that he could see him as a Jordan Henderson in future when Jordan Henderson, is sort of runs out of steam. So maybe that's probably where he's at. Maybe he's just a bit early for him yet. He is still relatively quite young, and he has got great experience, of course, playing with Bielsa, but Bielsa's team is not the England team, as you say. So he is a very, very good midfielder. And I think for people who have been saying, why is he not shooting? Well, he doesn't shoot. That's not his role. He does sometimes, but it's not his main gig. He's a defensive midfielder. He's a very good one. England have an embarrassment of riches, and it's very hard to fit him in alongside Declan Rice, Mason Mount, Jordan Henderson, et al., in the current time. But do you take him? What if Declan Rice goes down, Jordan Henderson goes down? Maybe.
Southgate loves Eric Dyer, though, doesn't he? Inexplicably, for some reason.